when I was very young. You know, a dog, a nice mixed breed, came wandering up to our house, and I just became very attached to it.
Oh, well, I heard this mewing by the side. I thought it was a catbird. And then this gray creature moved in the leaves, and there was a kitten. And we lived without neighbors nearby. And the bus was coming. So I scooped it up and ran down the driveway, my backpack flapping, thrust it into my mother's arms, and that was the beginning of my life with Smokey.
First animal I remember was my cat. Her name was Fluff. I remember going to the shelter, and I was maybe 8 years old, walking by the cage, and she stuck her paw out and kind of tapped me on the shoulder, and of course, you know, stopped, and that was it. We looked at each other, and I just knew this was it. This was it.
I love animals. How can you not? I mean, there is really no why. They give unconditional love. Always happy to see you, even when you were just gone 5 minutes ago. So they're great.
We're about to hear stories from different members of our community, children in our community, and other volunteers involved with the Humane Association. And it's important for you to hear and to see what's going on with animals and how our organization works to help those animals, because animals matter, and they matter to our community, and how we treat them says so much about Bloomington and Monroe County.
If I try to break it down to one thing the MCHA does well, I think it's relationship with the shelter, knowing full well that they're two different entities, but the MCHA makes the shelter better, which makes adoptions more prevalent and more possible, and that makes it better for the people who are getting animals and for the animals themselves.
One of the things I was really looking forward to in Bloomington was finding a dog, and it was at the shelter that I found Sophie. Sophie actually wrote her story in an issue of Bloom magazine. I believe she wrote that she was in a home where she wasn't appreciated, and so she took off on her own to find a better life, and she ended up in the shelter, and I found her there, and now she lives like a princess. There's lots of couches and comfy beds and lots of walks and some leftovers from Zagreb. She comes to work every day. In February, she was Employee of the Month. Her picture's up on the wall, so she's found a pretty good life.
The Animal Advocates Club is a group for middle schoolers who want to promote animal welfare. Right now we're working on a project to get a bill signed to stop puppy mills. We're trying to get them more aware of what puppy mills are and how we can help stop them. The puppy mills don't have what the puppies need to have a healthy, good life.
Wildlife is a gauge for the health of our environment. When we see decline in certain species, we know something's wrong. One big issue in Indiana recently has been the issue of transporting live coyotes to other states for use in dog running pens. MCHA has been involved in lobbying our state DNR and state legislators to stop this practice.
I feel that the ARF program is important because it connects children with books. And the way it connects children with books is it brings in an ambassador. And the ambassador is the dog and its owner. And through Monroe County Humane Association, we can make this connection between children and the dogs. And so what happens is the children come into the program, they choose a book, and then they choose a dog. And then they sit down and they read aloud that book to that dog. And what happens is their heartbeat slows, their nervousness dissipates, the fluency begins in their reading. And they have this interaction with a creature that allows them to be better readers.
My mom, she saw this thing on the computer, and you picked a charity and then you had a lemonade stand for the charity you picked. I really like to care for animals, so I decided that all the money went to the animal shelter.
Animals have always played a meaningful role in my life, but really when I was starting to recover from cancer, every week the volunteers and their dogs would come into the hospital and have a little visit on my bedside, and that's really one of the few things that made me happy during treatments. This is Maya. She's my best friend. She was abused by her former owners, and when I first got her, she would army crawl everywhere. She was so shy, and she's barkless now. They beat her every time that she barked. I've heard that MCHA does the VI Paws program, and I think Maya and I would be a great addition to the VI Paws team.
Dolce, I did not expect to get at all. Went to the shelter with my daughter, and she was instantly taken with Dolce. Dolce came from a puppy mill that MCHA helped to shut down. The number of animals that they ended up taking was staggering. The MCHA are true advocates for animals and animal rights. We would not be fortunate enough to have Dolce right now if it weren't for the MCHA. She'd probably still be part of the puppy mill, trapped in a box, underfed, underloved, absolutely underappreciated. But because of their hard work and their determination, I have a wonderful new addition to my family.
MCHA does a lot of things, but bottom line is they're the voice for the animals in this community. The other thing that they have become is kind of a focal point. All the animal organizations and passions that can happen can kind of revolve in and out of the MCHA, and the MCHA then has a better view of really what's happening from a community standpoint. And I think it's very crucial for you to have that, because that's really not the shelter's role. It has to be a different organization that does that, and that's where MCHA is so important.
So we're asking you today to get involved, to do something. These animals matter. They need all of us. So whether it's volunteering your time or donating your money or being a voice for the animals, it all matters, and it matters today. So take action and help the animals.
One person alone can't do as much as many people together can.
I think every animal deserves to have a safe and positive home, and that's why I volunteer for the MCHA.
They just fulfill a very important role within our community, just an absolutely indispensable role.
It's like people that don't have homes. If we didn't have homes, we would get wet all the time, and we could get hurt, and we could die. And I don't want animals to have to go through that.